Alright everybody, so the live stream stuff is going to be 3 separate ones on YouTube. However, I'm just going to leave the camera rolling for all 3 and upload it as one giant video. So if you're a tenor drummer or a bass drummer, tenors just fast forward to about an hour in, and basses fast forward to about 2 hours in. And then that way you can watch your portion. But you know, you also have the others available if you want to check out the other parts and play along board, or just wanting to develop yourself or whatnot. So anyway, let's jump right in. First going to talk about the fight song. So go ahead and pull that up. And especially for you snare drummers and tenor drummers that have been around, a lot of this is just going to be repeat information. I appreciate the returning people coming in and watching the videos and everything. There are small changes to some of these, but I think the fight song is pretty much the same. So I don't need to talk about the way that it starts or anything. Basically, the big thing that you want to check out is the dynamics and where it is loud, medium, and soft. And there's a part in here where the tendency is to play an extraneous roll off in the middle of the tune. So that shouldn't happen either, and we'll talk about that when we get here. So let's just dive right in. A to B is all loud. So let's play A to B. We'll just keep it at like let's try 120 and see what happens. So a little bit down tempo, but hopefully something that we can all achieve a certain level of proficiency on. Yeah, let's just try this. We'll just do everything after 8. And then ending mezzo forte right there. Yeah, please don't rush like I just did. And note that it is an open roll. It's not a tap roll. So it's not... Right, it's... starting with a roll. Cool. So it would be awesome if everybody could just build in the quarter note prep idea in these rests. So bump, bump, lift, bump, bump, lift, bump, bump, lift. Right, so just to kind of get you all moving together. That's kind of just been something we haven't really discussed in this piece yet. So yeah, and obviously a quarter note prep to start that first flam as well. So let's take it through B. So A to the downbeat of C. Cool, so don't do what I just did and end with a forte accent. You should end mezzo forte, so right, kind of medium. And the note that in the tap rolls, the dynamics it separates from mezzo forte. So if you think about that whole phrase as mezzo forte, then the accents just go up 1 level and the taps go down 1 level. It's pretty easy. I think that's why I wrote it that way. So it's still like basically mezzo forte if you find the average of all that. And then if you'll note at B, when I was playing, I didn't hold anything down. So the non-diddled notes, please don't downstroke those, but just let them come up to that mezzo forte height. Let's try that again. Okay, and then, yeah, you can downstroke that last double stop in A. I didn't just then, and it felt really weird, so yeah, just let's see, what else was there that I felt? Yeah, the and of 2 on the end of that top line, actually, I don't know. The fourth measure of A, and of 2, left hand, hold that one down. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba. And then bring it back up to play the double stop. So let's do that one more time just to let you guys see what you're doing there. Lift, 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 down. Okay, so we'll go on, you know, just try to put that kind of level of detail into when you're practicing this stuff. If you all do that, then we'll show up at band camp and everybody will be moving the same way and doing the same thing, and we can just move on and not spend precious rehearsal time working on that kind of stuff. But as, you know, you returning guys know, it is fun to play well. It is easy to not play well. It's hard to play well, but it's fun when everybody's doing the same thing and it sounds good and you get that moment where you're like, holy crap, we just chorded that roll, we just played clean or whatever. And the more that we can get that, and the more consistently, the more that it actually like counts. So it's not just a fluke. So, okay. C is kind of just more of same of B, so we don't need to touch on that. Just remember, don't downstroke the non-diddled notes. And then D. Just to explain this to Henry and Mike, I'm sure you probably already know, and we did this at 8th grade night or whatnot, but anyway, just to say it. Boom, click, click, click. Alright, so 1, in, out, in. Okay. And then that timing click is your prep coming out of that. So click, so that click, your right hand starts to lift, and that's still loud right there. So even though it's kind of the same figure as B and C, the dynamic is different. So you have to finish that phrase going all the way to E. So. Right, so keep that loud right there. Also notice that on D, you play the first note on the drum, do the stick clicks again on the drum, double stop, and then the next note is on the rim. So we don't really want to hear that note. Yeah, I'm not going to change that. So, yeah, just don't play that where it says rim. Don't play that on the drum. The point is to bring out those beat 3s of those measures so that it does the whole cut time or halftime groove feel. Boom, boom, ka, boom, 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 ka. Right, you don't want to hit the drum in the middle of that. All right, so let's take the beginning to D. Lift, lift. Okay, and then ending soft on the rim right there. Hopefully there aren't any questions. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to go ahead and go through E, and then I'm going to check the messages to see if you guys had any questions for A through D. E, you can't play this stuff on the rim soft enough. Usually that's a problem, and also whatever angles you have set up for your playing position, when you go to the front for the rim, you don't want to change any of those angles. All you literally want to do is move from the shoulders, right? So everything from the elbow down stays the same. In the past, you know, we've got people like turning their left hand over and like doing something like that, and you know, just all weird kind of stuff. So just don't change anything. Just move from the shoulders and bring the hand forward. Okay. The other thing is these left hand accents, where there's two accents in a row. I don't want y'all to downstroke the first one. So it would be go up, down, right? Up, down. Okay. So don't downstroke that first left accent. And then, since you're at the rim on this last measure of E, I want y'all to zone this from the edge to the center. It doesn't say that in the music, but get louder as well as go to the center. And then the other tendency is to over crescendo, only go up to mezzo forte for F, right? So you got... Okay, so most of the crescendo should happen as a result of going to the center. The stick height really doesn't go up that much. You really got to think about holding it back so you don't over crescendo there. So we got, don't change any of the technique when you go to the rim. Play the rim stuff soft. Let the first left hand accent float into the second one, and then hold the second one down. And then zone that crescendo and don't over crescendo the hands. So let's try E a few times, trying to put all those ideas together. Cool. So it looks like there are no questions A through D. So F, sweet. F is just more of same mezzo forte, and then you got this altered groove thing into that. So F, don't need to talk about. G is basically just the first two bars of D, but then you have the roll-off that you had at the beginning of the piece. I'm pretty sure it was a cut and paste job. So we don't really need to talk about anything, except obviously it doesn't end, the triplet roll ends differently. Just, right, so a big lift for that, and a rim shot. So, don't worry about hitting a ping shot at the end. You don't even have to hit a rim shot if you don't want. just a nice in the middle of the head hit. If you try to hit a rim shot and you miss, then especially with the left hand, you're probably going to miss. The sound isn't going to be as loud. So I'd rather a more consistent, loud note in the center of the head than an inconsistent / dirty whatever double king shot. So we'll just say either, let's just that last shot, take out the fact that it's a shot and have it be a really loud double stop center of the head. So for those that aren't watching live right now, that's your first quiz question. The end of the fight song is just a double stop. Okay, so the point being that you don't want to play G at D, right? They're different. For some reason, people have a tendency to play that roll-off ending at D. So just don't do that. But you'll note that both G and D are loud the whole way through. So you do want to do that. So let's just play this, go E to the end, and then we'll put it all together. Cool. So let's just play the whole thing. 1, 2, 3. Lift, 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 lift. Cool. Any questions about that? If not, just don't say anything. Yeah, I didn't do a good job that time of playing loud all the way through D. The second half of D should have been louder. So shame on me right there. Alrighty, moving right along. 3 cheers. So the triplet roll in 3 cheers is also an open roll. It's not a tap roll. So just look out for that. Well, wait, I just about apologized to the tenors, but I remember we're doing some separate videos. So look out for the open roll, and then in the beginning lick here, the right hand, if you'll note, if you take out the left hand, the right hand plays eighth notes. So you don't want to go digga digga down, digga digga down, digga digga down. You want to go digga digga up, digga digga up, digga digga down, right? Because it would be pointless to control the right hand down in 3 cheers. If you have issues with that in your own playing, like it's hard for you to manage that, just play eighth notes and add in one of the left hands per time, right? So digga-dum, digga-digga-dum. Digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-dum. Digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-dum, right? And just continue to add a left hand in, and if you get to a point where you realize you're messing with that right hand motion, then stay on that one. And don't add another left hand until you fix that, and then you should just right. But you will notice after each 2 left hands, the left hand does stay down, so you don't want to float the left hand. Right? Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. All right. So no questions from the fight song. Good. Let's play the first bar of 3 cheers, and just look out for your motion. Okay, so hopefully everybody's good on that. Additionally, this is loud, so even though you're playing with a high stick height and you're trying to move the sticks fast because it's, you want to play loudly, just don't me bang drum, because me bang drum is like basically all downstrokes. So you're creating a lot of work for yourself. So like I said, let the stick breathe and do most of the work, and you'll get way more bang for your buck. Okay, so Caleb, just make sure and go back and watch the first 25 minutes or whatever. There is a quiz question, and I do want you to answer that. But thanks for joining us. Looking at 3 cheers right now. So these stick clicks, I can't say this enough just to loosen up. I know that we're very disciplined and everything, and we're set a lot and all that kind of stuff, but for the stands beats, as long as they're sounding good, I really don't have a problem if y'all are loosened up and having a good time. So we don't want to be so locked up all the time that when we get a chance to just chill, it's like you're like a robot or somebody that just doesn't want to be there or something. So digga-digga-dum, 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 digga-digga-dum. Get some good motion, doing this thing with the arms, and stick click on the way down, out in between, right? So boom, out. And the left hand kind of goes up, and the right hand kind of goes up, and then they stick click on the way down. So your field of vision should kind of look like a Y, right, when you come out for these stick clicks. So I know it sounds dumb to define all this and at the same time say loosen up and stuff, but we do want to do the same thing and look good. If somebody's goofing around and doing something else, and most of the people are doing the same thing, then even people that don't know what they're looking at, if you told them to watch a group that was doing the same thing and one that wasn't, they probably couldn't tell you what the difference was, but they would probably tell you that one was better than the other. So, while you're having fun, we're also putting out a good product, right? So 3 cheers. Let's just play it down a few times and let me know if you have any questions. One, 3, 1, 2, ready, play. One, 3, 1, 2, ready, play. And if there aren't any questions, we'll move on. Drummer's rap. So I'm kind of doing this in a certain order. Obviously, we need to know the fight song and 3 cheers. Drummer's rap was something that existed at West Springfield before I got there, but everybody was playing the same part. So like basses, tenors, and snares were all playing this like one groove, so it didn't groove because there was no counterpoint or anything. So throughout the years, I kind of changed it, and it is pretty similar now that it's all together. It's similar to something that Dr. Wooten wrote called is it Hip Hop Shebop? Yeah, I think it's this thing called Hip Hop Shebop. And we played that at Southern Miss. So a lot of these things have influences from elsewhere. So I guess that's all I really have to say about that. So where is this one? All right. So everybody knows how that goes. Now, anybody that played bass last year, obviously you're not going to go dun ga ga dun ga ga dum. You're going to go digga 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 digga. Okay, and the hands float just like we've all been talking about in the single French stroke roll mix-up. Nothing is held down. So, and then at the very end, it goes down to control those taps. Everything's the same as last year. Except maybe that last bar, I don't remember if we changed it in the middle of last season or not, but originally last year y'all were going digga 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 da back back, but instead we're just going to take out that one right hand and leave it the same as the bars before it for the first 2 counts of that. So okay, hopefully that makes sense. So the last 2 bars, digga digga. I'll just explain these stick clicks to Henry and Mike. So you got digga digga, regular stick click. Then the right goes to the back of the left stick, back to the front. So that's the first 3. Okay. And then the next one is the right butt hits the left shaft. Okay, and then the last one is a regular stick click again. So, okay, so let's do one stick click at a time. So, digga digga, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. Okay, add the next one, which is back here. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. Okay, add one more. 3, 4. 4. 4. 4. Add one more, which is this right back sticks onto the left shaft. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. Okay, and then add the last one, which is just you go from back stick to regular. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. Okay, and then so another one where the stick click cues the motion to come up. And that's the double motion of the right and the left. So, and then ending with a soft right hand there. The last time we play it, we don't end with a downbeat, so it just ends with those 2 shots, and that's it. So let's play. Let's just play those last 2 bars a little slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready, go. And you do want to get louder with those stick clicks, but not by lifting the hands. Just keep the hands down, but just play louder. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready, play. Alright, so hopefully that's good on that. So let's give it a run a little bit quicker than that all the way through. Sorry. Cool. So, excuse me. The other thing I'll say is in this one, regardless of whether it's a quarter note or more or less or whatever, if you can, take a pencil and circle the note before an accent that hand plays. So where the upstroke would be, I want y'all to have really big upstrokes in this one, really small taps, and move as soon as you can coming off the preceding tap into the accent. So on that one, it's the third triplet partial of the first beat, right, for that right hand. And then on the and of 3 is where that other left hand would, the next hand would start to move in the upstroke fashion for that left accent, so on and so forth. Y'all get the idea. But just move as soon as you can and make it a really exaggerated upstroke. So Henry, whatever your tendency is here, let those sticks droop. That's great for this one. I'm just picking on Henry because we've been working. He's been doing like really big, exaggerated upstrokes. So trying to get him to chill out a little bit. So, which is a good problem. So yeah, do that. Any questions? No? Sweet. If there are any questions, let me know and I'll come back to it. Roly-oly. So Roly-oly is another one that existed at West Springfield before I got here, but again, everybody was playing the same part. So all I did was make it so that there's a layered entrance. And then I think the dum-dum-da-dum-bump is something that I added, but really the whole structure of this thing and that dum-dum-da-dum-dum I got from USM, University of Southern Mississippi, when I marched there, and brought it here. So it's the West Springfield thing, but it's like very reminiscent of another beat. And Caleb like kind of brought this stuff up the other day because he saw some videos of Southern Miss and was like, hey, you know, all this stuff's kind of the same. So anyway, it's just funny. But yeah, this was a traditional West Springfield thing. We just kind of jazzed it up a little bit. Yeah, I think it used to start with a solo snare drum. No, Roly-oly is from D2. If they're calling it D3 now, that's wrong. D3 is swagga. But they might be incorrectly calling it that now. That was over 10 years ago now that we did all that. So, but I was actually at Southern Miss when we started playing D2 and D3 and D1, and I don't think they even play D1 anymore. So, Yeah, I think it's just 4 taps and then the whole snare section's in. Yeah, that's right. So the first line, second line, and the third line, or the first and the second line are all the same. Dum dum da dum dum. Right, the third line, you got those rim shots. Dum dum da dum dum. So even though you're trying to play loud, again, don't just downstroke that stuff. Let it rebound and breathe. And let's do ping shots, of course. And then it ends da 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 da. Hey, right. So don't hit beat 4 there. Just and then everybody yells hey. Let's see, what's the other thing? Oh yeah, so on this one, the idea is energy, but not necessarily volume. So, yeah, I don't even see a fortissimo on here anyway. So, even when I put it on the page, it was like just kind of more chill. So, the point being that if you play it together and the tempo remains steady, that's going to be where the energy comes from, not trying to beat the ever-living tar out of the drum and being dirty at the same time and probably dragging because you're trying to just work so hard. So just lighten up, really rather light hands and lower stick heights and together than louder and dirty. So let's just play it down and see if anybody has any questions. Yeah, we'll stick with 130. Let's back it down to 120 for now. 1, 2, ready, play. Sorry. Hey. So the other thing I don't know where this creeped in or why it's happening, but in where you actually start playing, I'm not going to count that first measure, the tap off measure. So on bar 3, the last 16th note of the measure is there. I don't know why people want to release on the and not play that last 16th. Right, so it does have the last 16th. Right, that left hand is there. So just to reiterate that. Let's play it again. 1, 2, ready, play. So I'm playing it incorrectly as far as what I have on the page. I would like for y'all to play what's on the page. So you got dum dum da dum, both, dum dum da dum, both. Hopefully the returning people have been doing that. If not, revert back to what's on the page. So let's try it one more time, noting that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Both. Both. Hey. All right. So hopefully there aren't any questions. If there are, please let me know. Moving on to Spa. Spartans. This is a beat that I straight up ripped from Southern Miss and brought to West Springfield. This was not played at West Springfield before I showed up. And at Southern Miss, we call it, what do we call it? Is it SOU? Yeah, we said SOUTHERN. Something, go Southern Miss, go fight win or something. But anyway, yeah, so, oh yeah, we did call it SOU. So this is Spa for us. And it even has all the little jokes that Southern Miss did. So the tenor part used to be simpler, and throughout the years, tenor players started adding in little rim shots and little tricky beat that turn around things. So I put all that stuff in here. So y'all play it with all the bells and whistles. So the big thing to look for in this one, just as a general statement, is that all of the buzzes are not double stops. Some of them are just right hand buzzes. So I think that those situations, and it's really hard to see, basically anything with a staccato, a dot above it, is a buzz in this one. So we're looking for short buzzes, not legato buzzes. We don't want long buzzes, we want nice and short. And yeah, so every time you come out of a 16ths, 40-anda, that next one is just a right hand buzz. And it's low. Right? Too many people, for whatever reason, try to go dega both. And coming out of the 16th notes, it just doesn't make any sense to try to do that and make that double left thing happen. So, right? Oh yeah, it's supposed to be flam drags at the end that Southern Miss plays, but you guys just play the tap drags. And then right there is also just a right hand buzz. So that's a big thing, is just when you're coming out of the 16th notes, don't try to do a double stop left. Let's play it. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Right. 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 What did I see in there? So yeah, in that fill bar with the tap drags, once you hit count 3, let the right hand breathe. Don't hold the right hand down, especially after that rim shot. And then you'd have a re-lift, so don't do that. Just let that rim shot breathe. Right, let the right hand pump. Any questions about that? If not, go on to go. Nice, we started pretty slowly and moving right along. So this one does have a change. So if you're a returning member, this is going to be a little different, and you should definitely go in and first of all burn or shred or whatever the old part. Don't let that walk in the doors, and any old part that you might see around the band hall, get rid of it, please. And print this one out. So, oh yeah, this is totally different. Sweet. I forgot that I had altered those 3 bars as well. So, the first 3 times you play it, you'll do it as written. So also notice the tap height is mezzo forte, so don't try to play the taps low. I know I'm always saying, guys, get the taps down, gals, get the taps down. These are a nice medium, and then your accents are fortissimo. And then you do lower the taps a little bit for that last bar, just to really bring out the downbeats. Right, and then bring them back up for the meat of the whole thing. And then the last time, the last measure, you would start it with the left hand as a tap, and then play the rim shots on the upbeat. So I'll play the whole last time through. There's a double left coming out of the 3rd bar into the downbeat of the 4th bar. So. And then you would end a double right rim shot. So let's try this one. Down tempo. Let's just do it twice instead of 4 times, just for this rehearsal. So we'll just play it once, regular ending, and then once altered ending. 1, 2, ready, play. 3, 1, 2, ready, play. Cool. So we will actually play this 4 times, just like we always have. Doing it only 2 times was just for the sake of this rehearsal. So I just don't want there to be any confusion about that. In fact, that's the next quiz question for anybody that's not watching live, is spa is played 3 times in a row unless cut. If there's no cut, you automatically end after the 3rd time. Go automatically end after the 4th time, if not cut. So if you're cut in the middle of it, then the last time you play it, do the altered ending. So even if we start this thing and in the 2nd bar I'm like, stop, play the last ending. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's your quiz question. 3 times for spa, 4 times for go unless otherwise cut. And I think I might make that a quiz question for the snares, tenors, and basses, because that really annoys me every year. Yeah, I'm not worried about sticks in and sticks out. That's our procedure. But as we're in the stands, I'd probably rather just see everybody sticks out so that I know that you're ready to play. Good question. I like good questions. All right, so we're running short on time. Are there any questions on the new way of playing Go? If not, let's move on. We'll start on Let's Go Spartans, and if there are any questions, I'll come back to Go. I just don't like to wait for responses because of the lag thing. All right, Let's Go Spartans. Okay, so Ethan and Caleb, please respond to this question. Where you start playing here, do y'all want to play the prescribed sticking, that is the 8th note doubles, the 8th note diddles, or do you want to play natural sticking for this, for the first 2 counts? Okay, Caleb says original sticking, Ethan says whatever. So we'll just go with as written, since you guys are comfortable with that. Now that we've figured that out, do not come in early on the first left-hand double. That tends to be when it's dirty. Usually people are coming in. It's got to be an eighth note space. Dun digga dun. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4. Okay, it's an actual rhythm. So, okay. This one, I know that I've got forte piano. Let's change that to mezzo, forte, fortissimo. So the same way that you play go, as far as at the beginning. Right, it's nice and beefy. Let's do that with Let's Go Spartans. I'm not as concerned about the taps on this one. Alright, all the notes, let's let them be heard. I'll make a note. And I'll change that on. And basses should be fortissimo there. Okay. Cool. There's always some little changes that need to happen. So, hopefully that's good. No questions. So all those right-hand quarter notes in a row, let those rebound. Don't try to hold those down. Dum, 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 dum. Even the first right hand is a rebound, right? Rebound, rebound, rebound. Right, so even that last rim shot rebounds into the double stop. Okay, are there any questions about that? The last measure should be fortissimo as well. What dynamic is the roll? Yeah, last bar fortissimo. See, we're gelling today, Caleb. Any other questions? Okay, moving right along. Samba Calls. Okay, so the same rule at the beginning is applicable from 3 cheers. In fact, if you stop thinking about this part in triplets, you can actually hear it as 3 cheers. Digga-digga-digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-digga-digga-digga-dum is kind of the rhythm that it would be in duple. But it's triple, obviously, but let the right hand breathe, and after the 2 notes in a row on the left, let those come down. Cool. Just what you would probably, most people would want to do that anyway, so don't overthink it, but this is just for the people that like really need to think about that stuff to make it work. On B, the right hand floats. Okay, so that's the big thing there. Just keep those right hands going. Obviously, Jared is playing slightly different rhythms than everybody else. That is purposeful. So just if you hear that, don't start playing the extra little things that he's playing. That's the solo part. And then the others are, going to C, double stops. Lift, boom, boom. So obviously rebound down. Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, all that's up. Don't control any of that down. Except for the last 2 notes that you obviously would. Dum, da, dum, da, 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 da. Any questions about Samba Calls? You guys know how that goes. If not, let's go band. And this will be the last thing that we talk about. However, make sure that you're good on Lowrider. We're going to skip that one. The thing I'll say about Lowrider is the buzz is long. So in Spa, we're talking about short buzzes. In Lowrider, you got like longer buzzes in that one. But let's do Let's Go Band. Why can't I find this? Oh, there we go. So big thing on this one is the left hand starts Let's Go Band, and the right hand then plays an accent. So otherwise, as long as you can play the first 2 counts of drag rough at any kind of a medium tempo, you should be able to play this. Right, these are just alternating roughs. Right hand rebounds all the way through that last bar. Okay. And then I would rather that 6-doublet be softer and clean than me bang drum and loud and absolutely dirty. I'll roly-oly. So the energy should move forward there, not get bogged down with trying to play it loud. So first get it in time and then get the dynamic up. So we might systematically do that as a line, just depending on how well everyone is playing that figure. In Bandcamp, we might back that single 7 down to like, to like mezzo forte for a while. And once we start nailing the rhythm, then I might say, okay, now bring it up to like, you know, a healthy mezzo forte or a weak forte or whatever. And then, you know, progressively get a little bit louder on it as it is clean. Any questions on Let's Go Band? I'm about to sign off. 5-lit. I did say for you guys to remind me to change that, right? Dun, dun, dun. Giddy, 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 giddy. Caleb, would you want the 5-lit to start on the right hand or the left? What do you want? I don't care. I just played it both ways and it's this, that, or the other to me. Make a call. Right hand lead. Okay, so we're changing the last 6-doublet to a 5-lit, so it's a single 6 now. It starts with the right hand, ends with the left. That left hand is obviously a downstroke to get you back into playing position for that low left hand going back into the top. So after you control the left, don't re-lift because that would make you too loud for the beginning. I got to sign off and do the tenor video. We're going to stay on here. Thank you for your feedback. So I'm tracking Ethan, Ethan, Caleb, Henry, Mike. So who are we missing? Allie and... Did I say you, Henry? Henry, Mike, Ethan, Caleb. Who are we missing? Allie and who? Andy's tenors. Oh, Emmett. Alright, so I don't need to hear answers from any of you that are here. However, if you miss some of the beginning, obviously go back and watch the beginning so that you're catching what everybody else is going to be doing. So I got to bounce and start this tenor feed. See you guys. All right, let me know who's here. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I had to close down the snare video. Alright, so we got Jared. I'm just going to go ahead and start, and if people kind of filter in, I'm going to just refer to them and say go back and watch the beginning. So let's start with the fight song. Jared, I know you're tracking basically almost everything I'm going to say, but this is for everybody else, and to make sure that if I say something that's contrary or whatever, you can let me know. So thank you for being here. I'm going to mainly be talking to this camera, as this the one that's recording. I am not stopping that video, so the one that ends up being posted after I delete the live feed ones is going to be one 3-hour long video. The first hour is snares, and the tenors should fast forward to the hour mark so that they can start watching like right now, if that makes sense. So we've got 3 separate live feeds, but once all those are canned, it's just going to be one continuous running video. So, fight song. You guys didn't do any kind of crossover for these, right? It's just bum bum. Okay, so no crossover, just regular notes. I do want there to be a quarter note lift in the rests for all these. So 1, 2, 3, lift, 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 and y'all do play what's written there. Is that correct? So you start the double stops on the and. Okay, sweet. Get shifted over here to a flat surface. If I can keep from electrocuting myself, that'd be nice. Okay. Alrighty, back in business. So yeah, just loud through there. Just note the triplet roll is an open roll. It's not a tap roll, so don't play. Right. Starts with a double. That's pretty much it for that. So let's play A a couple times just to kind of get used to it and doing those quarter note preps. Try it at 120. So we're down tempo, but just to get all the motions right. 1, 2, 3, lift, lift, lift. Okay, and then I know I missed one of those double stops. Then when you end, don't do what I just did, but you should end, the next downbeat would be mezzo forte. So all of it's fortissimo, and then the next phrase starts at mezzo forte. So let's try that again. 1, 3. 1, 2, 3. Lift, 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 mezzo forte. Okay? So B, the tenors typically play B too loud. That's just the whole section as a whole. Individuals within might not be. So just everybody make sure that you're playing only mezzo forte at B. Also, don't control any non-diddles down. So just like in gallop, where you're trying to rebound everything, approach that the same as B. Usually when we play gallop, it's at fortissimo or something. So it's that same idea, but you're just taking it to half height. And then the triplet rolls at the end of B basically take mezzo forte, go down a dynamic for the taps, and up a dynamic for the accents. So that's how the dynamics work there. And then the release of that is back at mezzo forte. Yeah, mezzo forte, and then it deviates for a bar, and then it goes back to mezzo forte immediately. So let's do just B and into the downbeat of C, which is mezzo forte. 1, 2, 3, 4. So ending back at mezzo forte right in between those stick heights. Then C is the same as the first 4 bars of B, so nothing really to talk about there. Okay, so D, the big important thing to remember is that all of D is loud. So the second half of D, don't come down in dynamic. Even though you're playing the same type of figure as B and C, which is mezzo forte, the dynamic is still loud, so don't come down there. Additionally, for you guys at D, just float the left hands. Everything, let it float up. Don't control anything down in that first bar of D. So the bar prior to D would be, right? So just as you hit that quarter note right, the left is coming up into a nice big double. Typically these doubles have been crushed down, so just make sure you're thinking about the quality of those diddles as a rhythm. And something like gallop, where you're playing really loud and you're trying to play nice open doubles, just your hand speed is moving fast because we're at a fast speed and it's triplet rolls. But you should still think about those doubles as being very open. So don't close down, that kind of thing, but continuous rhythm. So let's do C and D together. See, even I was tempted to bring down the dynamics. Just don't do that. And then the second bar of D, let the right hands rebound, but control the left hand down since it's not doing anything. And then, dun, 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 downstroke that third right, and then lift it back on that quarter note. So let's try that again, getting all those motions in there. 1, 2, 3. Downstroke anything in here. Down, lift. And then ending forte right there with the left hand, actually. My bad. And actually, y'all can play this fortissimo. I don't care. It's supposed to be kind of loud and stuff, so I'm not going to get too picky with y'all here as long as it doesn't get like bombastic and just ridiculously loud. So, boom, 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 downstroking all that. Jared in the third measure there, or Andy. Actually, I'm going to definitely refer to Jared on all this previously played stuff. On the and of 2 of the third bar of E, do you downstroke that left, or do you let that breathe into beat 4? Okay, so control that down. The only reason that I might change that later is if we get to band camp or something where we're all in person and like all 3 of the others are doing it the other way, in which case I would probably just say, hey Jared, can you rebound that? So for now we'll say downstroke. Alright, so everything down, boom, 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 boom. Obviously, bump, 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 up should be rebounded. Okay, Jared and Andy, if both of y'all want to play where it says 1 player, that's fine with me. Otherwise, Jared, you can just play it. But if it is dirty, then I will cut it down to just 1. But if both of y'all want to play that, that'd be cool. So while that 1 player is playing, what I want the other, or the 2 players, or whatever it ends up being, the other people, I just want you to go shot 1, 2, 3. So you're bringing it down the drum, and that is what is going on in the winds right there. So dun, 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 dun. Right? So, and then you, yeah, and all that'll be loud. So, so then you'd have a double right if you were one of those players going into F. What's the quarter notes? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you're downstroking most of those other notes. That's fine. So hopefully that makes sense. During that go, the other players are going left shot, right 1, left 2, right 3, and then you're all back in at mezzo forte at F. So let's do E all together, and I'll try to catch that motion. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bum 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 bum. Right? Okay. So, but I do want the and of 1 in that third bar rebounded. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah. So, and then on the 4th bar there, starting on the 3rd count, I want that stuff rebounded as well. Bump, 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 bump. And then you would downstroke. Bump, 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 down, down. Okay, so let's play it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, 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 down. Up, up, down, 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 down. Up, 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 down, down. Down, 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 and then end mezzo forte right there on drum 1. So let's take it all the way from the top through E. 1, 2. Yeah, because like I said, I mean, in E, basically, y'all are all going to be at fortissimo anyway. I'm not going to try to just make sure that you play exactly forte. So just keep it at that dynamic. There is no crescendo like y'all's part probably has written. And then the shots will bring out that solo part. So, yeah, let's play from the beginning through E. 1, 2, 3, lift, boom, boom, lift, boom, boom, lift, lift. Mezzo forte. Not downstroking anything. Rebound. Lift. Loud. Ending mezzo forte right there. Okay, so something I forgot to point out, Andy and Grant, in the triplet rolls right before C, you are going to have a right crossover onto drum 4. Right? Okay. So F, you guys know, is mezzo forte. Same kind of figure as before at C. And then G is just a mix of D and the roll off at the top. So a pet peeve of mine is, for some reason, people want to play. Is this still going? Are you guys still seeing the live stream? We still going? Good? Okay, good. Sorry. So for some reason, in the third bar of D, either people want to play what's written but bring the dynamic down, or they'll play a loud roll-off figure at D. And it's because D and G are so similar, but you just have to remember, when you're in the middle of the fight song, you don't play a roll-off. The roll-off is how to start and how to end the fight song. So, yeah, in D, it's all fortissimo, but there is no roll-off in the third bar. Any questions for the fight song? Well, I'm going to play it down once all the way through, and then if there are any questions, I'll go back and address them. 5, 6, 7, lift, 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 lift. lift, lift, lift. All right, so on that last triplet roll, Jared, have y'all been releasing on 4 like it says to do, or have you been releasing on 3? As far as voicing. Release on 4. Okay. Lance, you might just want to close and then reopen and see if it is better. So, cool. Instead of a double stop on 3 and 4 for the last note of the fight song, can you do a double stop on the shot drum? And yeah. If you were ending on 3, then I would say leave it open, but if you're crossing over, let's just bring both hands over to the shot drum. So that'll be a change for the returning folks. Okay, so let me make a note of that in my score. But you are ending on drum 4. Okay. Yeah, and the snares are just going to hit a double stop there. They're not going to try to hit that double shot. But I do want y'all to try for a double rim shot on the shot drum. No. So the triplet roll, are you ending on drum 4 or 3? Okay, cool. So do what's written. However, on the last quarter note, instead of 3 and 4, play a double shot on the shot drum. Are there any questions about the fight song? I'm going to move on. If there are questions, ask me, and I'll go back to it. So if there aren't any questions, then go to 3 cheers. In 3 cheers, to start out with, the most important thing is that the right hand rebounds. So don't try to me-bang drum and hold any of this down. I'd rather a lighter touch with higher stick heights and more rebound. So the right hand does this. And then the left hand has 2 notes at a time, so it's rebound down, right? So I do want you to re-attack the left hand. But the right hand should do that. In order to work on that, you can do like a bar of 8th notes and just add in one of the left hands at a time. So I'll demonstrate. Digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-dum. Digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-dum. Digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-dum, digga-digga-dum. Right, and so on and so forth. And as you add the left hands, if you realize that you're holding down the right hand at any point, then you need to spend more time with that one before you add the next left hand in. And also play it slower. If if it's just too much to think about, slow it down, whatever tempo you have to make sure you're rebounding all those rights. Other than that, when you're doing these stick flicks, for you guys, the left stick will kind of go down and to the left, and the right will go up and to the right. So you'll get this kind of thing going on. And I do want you to have a little bit of rock to the arms. It's just terrible when you look and most of the drum line is like having a good time and there's all this movement and maybe some head shaking and loosen up. And then there's like a third of the line that's just like, you know, and I know that we spend so much time locked up and at attention and all that that you might feel like that. I hope not. I hope that by the way that I'm trying to have you guys play, you feel more open. But just be expressive, have a good time, but just make sure the left one goes down and to the left, and that we're not getting like a left-handed stick click while everybody else is doing a right hand. So keep the right hand on top. Okay, so and just loosen up. Also, the stick click on 4, when you hit it, is kind of down low, and it cues the right hand, or it cues the hands to come up and start playing again, right? So, cool. Then you got a nice open roll, again, not a tap roll. Any questions about 3 cheers? If not, I'm going to move on, but I will come back and answer them as needed. Drummer's rap. And actually, I am going to take a little break, but I will be back in about 1 or 2 minutes. When you gotta go, you gotta go. Okay. So, what did I do with my stick? There they is. Drummer's rap. Obviously, y'all know how this thing starts. We'll continue to have Jared start this one. And then when everybody comes in, you got the prep on 4, 4, digga-digum, digga-digum. And the approach to those single stroke 4s is going to be the same as what I've been talking to most of you about, which is after the hands come up for the initial attack and you play, when the hands come down, you leave the hands down, but nothing is rebounded. So the hands are turned back to a full thing, and you don't downstroke anything. So, floating all that. And then you play that. So, yeah, it's pretty much no real questions should be happening in here. Okay, there we go. There's a interesting. Oh yeah, I was thinking about the wrong piece of music. So, in that, I don't want anything controlled down. So in the last 2 bars of Drummer's Rap, let it all float up. And for those learning the piece, in those 2 bars, basically for the first 6 counts, the left hand just stays on drum 1, and after that first hit, the right hand goes down the drums. Deck-gum shot, 1, 2, okay, and then you got digga digga. So let's play just those last 2 bars. Floating everything. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, ba. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready, go. Ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, 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 ba. 1, 2, ready, play. Cool. So everybody should see how I'm not holding anything down. It's all just up. And then, however, the last 2 notes should be down so that you can go into the taps that are at the repeat. So let's just play the whole thing. Cool. Any questions about that one? If not, then I'll move on. If you have a question, I'll come back to it. Rolly-oly. By the way, drummer's rap was a thing at West Springfield before I started teaching there. However, the whole drum line was playing the tenor part just on their drum. So it was like this thing that was never written down. It was passed down orally. And I have a feeling that after whoever taught it to them left, they tried to keep playing it, but there was nobody, after the bass drummers kind of started playing snare and tenor, there was nobody to teach them. And like, so basically it all just turned into the same part. And it was like all they wanted to play when I first got here. And it just drove me crazy because I'm like, I could tell that it was potentially cool at one point, but not if everybody is playing the same part. So that was like a very sensitive thing because it was so entrenched in the tradition at the school. So over the course of like 3 years, I like changed it a little bit each year. And as some of those seniors started to kind of bounce, it was like, okay, so now it's like it is kind of what it is. So and I think everybody feels that it actually is like way cooler now. It was just something that like they wanted to hold on to. So anyway, Rolly-oly is another one that was played at West Springfield when I started teaching here. Very much the same thing. It started out with a solo snare drummer, and then the snares would add in, and then the tenors and basses would add in. And everybody played the same part. So I changed that a little bit as well. So this is actually very similar to something at Southern Miss that we played when I was there in terms of the snares entering, tenors, basses, and even the bump, bump, ba-bum, bump was not played at West Springfield before. So anyway, and actually having a cymbal part to it. So yeah, the thing about this one is I would rather it be softer and dynamic and clean rather than loud and dirty. So the energy should push forward, not necessarily up in terms of dynamic, but it should push forward in terms of tempo. So I'd rather the hands be nice and light. And other than that, if you'll notice, look at where you start playing, or where you start playing the the third bar of that, the last 16th note in that bar does exist. For some reason, people want to take it out and go, but that left hand is there. Okay, so just watch that. Make sure you're playing all the 16th notes in that bar, that you're not taking out that left hand. So so the right hand accents are on drum 1, left hand are on 2. And then obviously the second time you guys play that, you'll go to those eighth note rim shots. I do want the right hand to rebound in those, so don't be so obsessed with playing them loudly that you try to downstroke them. And then ending hey. So make sure you don't play anything on beat 4. Hey, and yell hey. Are there any questions about Roll-Oly? I'm going to move on. If there are any questions, I'll come back and answer them. Let's move on to Spa. Spa was not played at West Springfield when I got here. This is something that I straight up took from Southern Miss. We called it SOU because our spelling was SOUTHERN for Southern Mississippi. And it was SOUTHERN, Southern Mississippi, USM for University of Southern Mississippi. So I kind of made up some words and taught it to the band here. So this one is pretty cool for the tenors because it's got all the bells and whistles that were added at Southern Miss over the years. So it started out very basic, and then tenor drummers would get a little bored and they'd add the boom, da-dum, ba-dum, boom, kind of turn around weird thing. So I put that in here. So y'all are playing it with all the little inside jokes and everything that existed at Southern Miss. Obviously it's got the tenor tap off. We'll have Jared do that. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so all the way to that point, the left hand has been on the 4 drum, and the right hand has been on the shot drum. Anytime you play on the shot drum in this, it is a rim shot. However, on beat 4 of the second measure after everybody comes in, those are rim shots on the 1 drum. So the biggest thing that I have to point out in this piece for the tenors is that there is a difference between the rim shots on the 1 drum and the rim shots on the shot drum. Toward the end of the season, I think everybody was on board with that last year for like the first time since West Springfield was playing this. It's always been, for some reason, confusing. So especially for Andy and Grant that are learning this, do not learn it incorrectly because it'll take you a long time to try to fix. So just note, maybe circle the rim shots that are on the 1 drum so that your eyes go to that and you remember that they're not on the shot drum there. So boom, shot, boom, boom, shot, boom, 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 pop, boom, boom, pop, boom, boom, shot, boom, and then those those shots are also on the 1 drum. So you might want to circle those at the boom, da-dum, ba-dum, boom, to make sure that you're not playing those on the shot drum. Other than that, the second quiz question that I've got is, this is played 3 times unless otherwise cut. So if you're not cut after the 3rd time, you stop. Go is automatically played 4 times unless there is a cut. So there's a difference. You play Spa 3 times unless cut, and Go 4 times unless cut. Okay? And just, you can remember that as Go is a lot shorter than Spa. So Spa being longer, we're going to play it fewer times. Go being shorter, we're going to play it more times. Okay? So 3 times Spa, 4 times Go. I would love for everybody to be on the same page with that. And if anybody's not, let that be a freshman or a newbie to the battery. I don't want to have to fight that every year. So please help me make that like just the way that it is. All right. Any questions on Spa? If not, we'll move on. Next up is Go. If there are any questions with Spa, I will go back and answer them. So go has changed significantly. If you are reading the old music, please shred it, burn it, throw it away, whatever. And if you see any copies of the old version floating around the band hall when we go back, please make sure that those go bye-bye. So hopefully y'all have looked at and or printed this off so that we're looking at the same thing. But it has the same tenor intro, and then it goes. Okay, so that ending, shot boom, shot boom, shot boom, shot boom. The hands should float, just like you don't control them down. You do want them to relax and just boom, 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 boom. So all of the rim shots on this one are on the. Actually, there are no rim shots on this one. It's just drum hits. The diddles happen on drum 1 and 2, and the non-diddles happen on 3 and 4. Yeah, non-diddles on 3 and 4, diddles on 1 and 2. And then the last time that this is played, instead of shot 4, shot 4, shot 4, it'll be 4 shot, 4 shot, 4 shot. So the shots will be on the upbeat. So that means that from that third bar where y'all play into the fourth one, there will be a double left hand. You can't see that on the page, but it would go left, left, right, left, right, right? Jared, do you, on that last bar, do you want to play the drum 4 stuff loud or keep it unaccented like it is on the page? Alright, so we'll keep that unaccented. So that double left, you'll just keep it soft. So, and then that last left will be accented on drum 4 with the left hand. So if you did not receive a cut, then you would play it as written 3 times, and then the 4th time you would play it with that double left into the last measure and play the upbeat shots. And those are shots as far as rim shots, but in the first 3 bars where you're playing, they're not rim shots, but they are on the shot drum. So let's say that we're playing it and you just started it. You're in like the 2nd bar of the first time through, and I throw up the stop signal. You would play the final ending. So it'd be oh, there's the symbol of stop. Cool. So that way, if half the drum line sees the cut signal and half was not paying attention, at least those that weren't paying attention should hear that they're like something different is going on, and that should cue them to stop. So even if they did not see the signal, I expect everyone to know to stop. The only people that might, the bass drummers wouldn't even have an excuse, because they should hear snares and tenors playing like upbeat rim shots and stuff. So that's kind of why I changed some of that, was to just make it obvious of when this thing is going to stop. Are there any questions about Go or how all that stuff's going to work? If I don't hear anything, we're going to move on to Let's Go Spartans, and I'll go back to go if there are any questions. All right. So we all know how this starts with the verbal Let's Go Spartans. I asked the snares, and both Ethan said he didn't care and Caleb said he wanted to keep it as written. But I posed the question of, do we want to play this rhythm with natural sticking, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right? And he said keep it as written. So Jared, unless you just have like a huge problem with that, we will keep it as written. Yeah. So dun 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 bum bum. 1, 2, 1, 2, shot. Boom. So the biggest thing I have to point out about this one is the looking at where you start playing. Beat 4 is that right hand on drum 4, and then the next beat is a right hand on 2, the 2 drum, and then the right hand on drum 1. All those quarter notes as you're going from 4, 2 to 1 should rebound. So don't hold those down and go. Right? Just let it rebound up as you go up. Rebound, rebound. Cool. And then you'll rebound off of that last shot onto the double stop release. And that is a typo. I don't want a double stop on drum 4. It should be drum 3 and 4. Okay, you want to keep it as written as well. Good. So does all that make sense about what the right hand should be doing? Okay. Double stop on 3 and 4 already written. Good. So I'm just working off an old copy. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Ooh, I just made a spit bubble thing. Anyway, so something that is probably not on your page that I want you to do is the dynamic I want to be mezzo forte / fortissimo. So the same stick height type stuff that you were doing in the new Go with beefy taps and big accents, I want that to be that way for Let's Go Spartans. So don't worry about forte / piano. Bring the taps up to mezzo forte and the accents up to fortissimo. Yeah. So, let me know if you have any questions about Let's Go Spartans. If I don't see any questions, we'll continue to talk about Samba Calls. So Samba Calls, we all kind of know how this goes. Dig it down. So the thing, Jared will do this one as well as far as the solo parts. If Jared, you and Andy want to work out one person plays the first solo, Andy plays the second one, you play the first one again, Andy plays the fourth one, whatever. You guys work that out. I'll let you guys figure that out. But just one person will play each of those solo parts, but y'all can pass it around, and you can throw Lance in there as well. That would be cool. So whatever y'all want to do, figure that out. So talking about the unison parts, the same way that the hands float in 3 cheers, where that right hand keeps rebounding, is the way that I want this first unison figure to appear. Digga digga dum, digga digga dum, digga 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 bum. So just because the left hand downstrokes does not mean that the right hand does. Let the right hand rebound. Okay. Same thing for the next part. Get it, get that, get it, get that. So the solo player obviously has like an extra note here and there on this one as compared to the unison part. So as you're playing the unison part, let's just make sure to continue to be disciplined and play what's on the page. Do not add in those 16th note pickups. I appreciate that everybody's been really good about that, and I want that to continue. So just play the written part. On this next entrance, bum 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 bum. Biggest thing to note there is the right hand continues to rebound. Okay, so don't me bang drum the right. Let those quarter note right hands rebound. On boom boom, we've got a 2 double stops there. Do y'all want to do any kind of crossover on one of those, or just leave all those as open? Okay, so leave those as open, and then if you guys get together at band camp or whenever we're all in person again and you want to make a call to change that to have a crossover, that's fine with me. I probably won't say anything unless some of you are doing one thing and others are doing something else. So whatever you do, everybody do it the same. For now, play it as written without a crossover, and if you want to add that, coordinate that all on your own. Bum ba bum ba 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 bum is all up, so don't downstroke any of that. Bum ba bum ba 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 bum, except for the last 2 notes, obviously. Bum ba bum ba 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 down down. Dun 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 dun. Bum ba bum ba 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 bum. Okay. Are there any questions about Samba Calls? I'm gonna have that be a quiz question about those double stops. That it is not crossed over. Unless otherwise specified. Okay. Let's go band. I gotta go in about 5 minutes. We'll just do this one real quick. I had trouble finding this one earlier too. There it is. So, let's go band. So if you can play the first 2 counts of drag rough mix up at a decent clip, this should be no problem. If we're playing this at 150, then that would be 75 beats a minute of drag rough type rough. So it's alternating roughs, and it starts with the left hand, a low left hand on drum 4, boop boop bop, boop boop bop, boop boop bop, boop boop bop, and that's what it should look like, right? So just make sure that drum 3 and 4 are low and dynamic, and that these shots pop out. But they are not rim shots, they're just on the shot drum. And then dun dun dun. The next thing should be a 5-lit. So change that in your part. And it starts on, oh crap, I didn't write it down. Go to the snare video for you guys that are watching live, go to the snare video and go to like the last 10 minutes or so of it and see if we're starting the fivelet on the right or the left hand. And that'll be a quiz question. For those that are watching live right now, just make sure you go and watch that and get the answer to that and make a note of it in your music. If you're not live with us, then you're going to be on this. In which case, you should rewind back to about 50 minutes in or 55 minutes in and watch the end of that snare portion and see what hand this fivelet is supposed to start on. And that'll be the answer to this quiz question. Okay, so the very last, does anybody have any, and the thing about that is I want that clean, not necessarily as loud as you can possibly play it. So even though it's fortissimo, I would rather that be like a mezzo forte clean fivelet than a fortissimo dirty slow fivelet. So it needs to stay in time and be clean. If the fivelet starts on the right hand, I want you to play the fivelet on the 1 drum and release on the 2 drum. If the fivelet starts on the left hand, then I want you to play the fivelet on the 2 drum and release on the 1 drum. So you're doing that or that. Are there any questions about Let's Go Band? If not, we're going to go to Lowrider, which we did not get to for these snares. I think I threw out some statements but didn't really look at the music, but it looks like we've got about a minute. This starts with a tap roll. So make sure that on drum 4, the first note that you play is not a double. It is a, there's a gap there between that note and the left hand diddle. Y'all might be looking at a more updated part than me, but at B, I don't want you to play that right, left, right, left. That should just be right, 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 left, right. Jared, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that y'all played that all on one hand. Yeah, so that's all one-handed. I'll make a note of that in my part. Also at C, where you do have the alternating hands on drum 4, make sure those rebound and then only control down the last 2. So dun 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 down down, dun 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 down down. Let the first 3 notes rebound and don't downstroke all those notes. And then bumps. I'm not going to prescribe a certain hand speed for that buzz. Jared, if you do want everybody's hands moving at a certain speed for the buzz roll, then coordinate that offline with everybody. So just make sure that it's not super slow, but that everybody's getting a nice solid buzz sound. This is a stands beat, so I don't want to get too ridiculous with trying to make sure everybody's hands are moving at exactly the same time. But it does end on beat 4. Dum, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. So that way you've got a quarter note to go and hit the last note on drum 4 with the left hand. Are there any questions? Hopefully not, because I have to go to start the bass video. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch y'all on the flippity flip. All right, let me know when you're here. After we get at least one person in, I'll start, and I may even start if that's not the case. So the way that this is going to work is, hey, Alyssa, is the live feed is its own video. Obviously, you clicked on a specific link to come here. The non-live feed video that I am going to post after this one posts, I'm going to delete these separate videos. This camera has been running continuously. So for the bass drummers, this is where your portion will start if you're not watching live. So if there's going to be one video for snare, tenor, bass, but the bass one just starts 2 hours into the video of like a 3-hour long video. So we're just doing an hour today. Got to move pretty quickly to get through. So let's start with the fight song. There are two main things that I have to point out to bass drummers on the fight song, and those are that sticking matters, okay? So don't just look at the rhythms, but look at which hand plays those notes, and look at the dynamics. There's a difference between mezzo forte and fortissimo and piano and all that stuff. So at A, we're going to try to put quarter note preps for these notes like we typically do with everything else. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, lift, 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 right? Lift, lift, bum, bum. So you're kind of lifting as the other hand plays in those quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, lift, 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 bum, 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 bum. Okay, so same idea goes through that third and fourth bar that you start playing. And if your hand ever plays a quarter note into the same hand, then you'll float that. So looking at that double bar of A, the third count, that left hand, where it then goes into another left hand and, you're going to rebound that left hand into the other one. So, bum, 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 bum. Okay, so let's not get too ridiculous talking about the motion here, but that is stuff that you should be looking out for. So let's play all of A. Lift, 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 bum, 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 bum. Okay, and then, so basically that left hand that we just talked about on the and of 3 of that particular bar, your left hand continues to float until the last left hand of that line. So, cool. And then the right hand floats in that entire last bar. So, bum, 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 bum. So everything in that bum, ba-dum, bum, bum is floated up except for the last 2 notes. Let's play it again. Lift, lift, lift. And then you would end mezzo forte. So, Alyssa, at B, had we defined this as mezzo forte like it is on the page, or is it mezzo piano? I also might be looking at an old copy. Shame on me. Okay, so we're going to say that B is mezzo piano. The snares and the tenors are playing mezzo forte. That's okay. They are a little bit softer. You're playing unison parts here. And the bass drum sound believe it or not, actually carries further. So the further away that you get from the band, the high pitches start to go down and the low pitches continue to carry. It's just with how the frequencies work and how they pervade through the air and all that stuff. So it will probably come across as a balanced sound, even though y'all are playing a softer dynamic than the snares and tenors. So point being, at B, don't overplay. And then those are all downstroke right hands. Pretty simple. Okay. And then just note that in the last bar of B, you have a rest on that downbeat. And then those are rebounded right hand loud. So boom, 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 boom. And then back to mezzo piano for C. So that'll be the first quiz question, is all of the mezzo fortes in the fight song are now mezzo pianos, and the mezzo piano at E is now like pianissimo. Okay. So the only dynamics in this then are fortissimo, mezzo piano. Let's bring that forte in the last bar of B up to fortissimo. So now you're either playing, in this whole piece, you're either playing fortissimo, mezzo piano, or pianissimo. So you have 3 levels. If on the page it says mezzo forte, change it to a mezzo piano. If on the page it says mezzo piano, change that to pianissimo. And on the page, if it says forte, play that at fortissimo. So that should make it a little easier for everybody to kind of be on the same page. Just remember that most of this piece is actually fairly light. Okay, so yeah, let's play the beginning to the downbeat of D and try to catch as much of that motion stuff as you can. Hopefully, I know to this point I've said I'm not really picky about all that in terms of the West Springfield timing exercises and all that stuff, but hopefully we've been talking about it enough, it's been rattling around in your brains, and some of you are working on it. Hopefully you can start to think about that and incorporate how you're moving into how you're playing. So the beginning to the downbeat of D. Lift, 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 lift. Boom, 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 boom. Rest. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. Okay, and then that's a very loud release. So just remember the bar before C, that there's a rest on the downbeat. That's where you should start lifting. So rest, and then fortissimo, rebound strokes. Yeah, boom, 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 boom. Okay, and then back down to mezzo piano. Are there any questions to that point? If there are, I will come back and address them, but if there are not, we're going to move on to D. So at D, all of D is loud, and there is no roll-off in D. So I know at G is basically the same thing as D, but there is a roll-off. So you should know that in the middle of the fight song, when you're playing through the whole fight song, there is no roll-off there. The roll-off only is to start the fight song or to end the fight song. It does not happen in the middle. So at that D, you got Okay, so the sticking here is right, left, left, right, 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 rebound, 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 down. Okay, so yeah, let's give that a whirl. Boom, 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 boom. So you got a bunch of downstrokes, down, 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 rebound, rebound, down. Okay, bump, 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 bump. Down, down, rebound, 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 down, down. Cool. So let's play D. 1, 3. 1, 2, 3. Lift. Bump, 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 down. Okay, and then bump, 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 bump. So on that last quarter, your left starts to reach out to go to the center of the head and push into it so that the next section is muffled. So with the left hand, your left hand goes into the head and the right hand is playing pianissimo on the other head. Okay, so let's try that. Let's play D and then play the first note of E with the left hand on your pad. 1, 3, D, 2, ready, go. Okay, let's try that again. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So just a reminder, all of D is loud. Don't start to play the second half soft or decrescendo or anything like that. It's boom, 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 and then it immediately gets softer. Can everyone who's watching please send me a message? I know Alyssa is, but I think we've got like 2 other people in, and I just want to make sure you get credit for watching the video. So E is just quarter notes, real soft with the left hand muffled. Not much to say about that one. The last note, the last measure of E, crescendos, but remember you're only going from pianissimo to mezzo piano. So you do stay muffled until the downbeat of F. So boom, 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 boom. And just taking your left hand off of the head will actually make the dynamic come up a little bit more. So you, the biggest tendency here is going to be to over crescendo. So it's just a very small crescendo up to that very mellow part of F. So let's play E. I'm not seeing anything except from Alyssa. So if you're not Alyssa, please figure out how to make a comment on here and let me know that you're here so that I give you credit. Let's play E. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, 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 slight crescendo, boom. Okay, and then we're ending mezzo piano. So now we've got another half notes at mezzo piano with the right hand. Then G, the first 2 are the same as the first 2 at D, and then you've got the roll off. So let's play F and G together. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, boom, mezzo piano. Loud, bump, 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 bum, bum, lift, bum, 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 bum. Okay, and the last measure is a paradiddle, right, left, right, right, and those last 4 bars are all loud. Bum, 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 paradiddle, and on the di of the paradiddle, that one's a rebound. So down, down, rebound, down. Right? Down, 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 rebound, down. Okay, so let's play through the whole thing. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, lift, bum, bum, lift, bum, bum, lift, bum, 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 bum. Mezzo piano. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lift, bum, bum, bum. 1, 2, 3, 4. Loud, loud, loud. Rebound, rebound, rebound down. Muffle. 1, 2, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4. Small crescendo, unmuffled. 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2. Loud. Lift, lift, paradiddle. Cool, so that's the fight song. Please let me know if you have any questions. We're going to move on. If there are questions, then I will go back and cover it. 3 Cheers is up next. So this applies to everybody because all of you are playing the same stuff for the majority of 3 Cheers, in that for these 16th note figures, it's very important that your right hand continue to rebound. So even though you might have some downstrokes in the left hand here and there, that doesn't mean that it should change the right hand motion. So if you take the left hand out of the first measure, all your right hand is doing is eighth notes. So a way that you can approach practicing this figure is to play a measure of eighth notes and then play the figure, but only add one left hand at a time. So I'll demonstrate. Digga digga dum, digga digga dum, digga digga 1, 2, 3, 4. Digga digga dum, digga digga dum, digga digga dum, 2, 3, 4. Digga digga dum, digga digga dum, digga digga dum, 2, 3, 4. Digga digga dum, digga digga dum, digga digga dum, 2, 3, 4. Digga digga dum, digga digga dum, digga digga dum, 2, 3, 4. Digga digga dum, digga digga dum, digga digga dum. Okay, so if at any point when you start to add the left hands in, if at any point you realize that that is making you downstroke the right hand, then you know that you've got something to work on there, and you can slow the tempo down and make sure that you're doing that. And then maybe not even trying to do it with that specific rhythm, but just get your right hand playing eighth notes and randomly add in a left hand in between. And then, add in more and more, and just make sure that your right hand is rebounding. And then when you're ready, try to apply it to the actual music. So the biggest thing in 3 Cheers for everybody is that the right hand continues to rebound and that the left hand is just as loud as the right. So what we don't want is, right? So your left hand is played in groups of 2, and the second note is downstroke. So, right? And then in the space between, the bottom bass drummer, whoever that might end up being, plays quarter notes. And I might even cut that. So the last time that you play that, everybody plays quarter notes. So digga digga dum, digga digga dum, digga digga dum, boom, boom, boom. Digga digga dum, digga digga dum, boom, boom, boom. Digga digga dum, digga digga dum, digga digga boom, 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 boom. Except it's all right hands, and all those should rebound as well. Right, 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 right. Okay, so are there any questions about 3 Cheers? If there are not any questions, then I will move on. If there are, I will come back and address them. Let's go to Drummer's Rap. By the way, especially for you new folks, you should have a pen or a pencil and a sheet of paper writing these notes down that I'm saying, because you'll want to write that so that you will remember what to practice. So you don't just want to sit here and read through and not really play anything and just kind of say, yeah, I was at the rehearsal. Like, the rehearsal is to give you comments that you can apply to your individual practice. So if you're not practicing what I am saying to do, then there is absolutely no point to us doing these videos or putting all this work in. The purpose is that you get information to then go and practice and apply to the music. So it'll be a sad day if we show up to band camp or whatever, and like 80% of folks are doing the right thing and they're playing it, and then we got like 1 or 2 people that are just like, oh yeah, I didn't think it was a big deal that we, like, you know, work on that. So the point of all this is that you're actually going to practice what I'm saying. Okay. I've still only heard from Alyssa. Alyssa, are you still here? I just want to make sure the chat function is working. So a drummer's rap is something that, sweet, thanks, is something that West Springfield played before I started teaching here. However, the entire drum line played the same part. It was something that was just passed down orally through tradition, from the people that were in the line before to the new people. So a lot got lost because nobody wrote anything down. And they were like very sensitive about it. When I first brought up changing it at all, the seniors were like, no, please don't do that. So each year I kind of changed a little bit and at a time, and finally kind of got it to where we've got it today, where the snares, tenors, and basses are all playing different things and it works. And even like the folks that come back and watch, like, I think they enjoy the new part, but they just really didn't want it messed with at first. So that took a while to change. So anyway, just a little history lore there. So this starts with 3 measures of a tenor count off. So so that's, you know, it kind of feels like, so how I've been talking to some of you about marking time on the half note for some of these timing exercises. That's kind of how the feel is on drummer's rap, but I have it written as, you know, each quarter note. Dun, ga-da-ga-dun, ga-da-ga-dun. So yeah, the tempo will be pretty quick on this. I've got 200 on the page, which really just means 100 at that, like, kind of halftime feel. And we probably won't even play it that fast. So after that bum, 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 which all that should be up and rebounded. Don't downstroke any of that. So up, bum, 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 bum. After that, the sticking works like right, left, and then for the next 6 counts, all the downbeats are soft and on the right hand. Okay, so everybody do that with me. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Right, left, right, 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 right. 2, 1, 2, ready, play. Right, 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 right. 2, ready, play. Right, 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 right. Okay? And then what you can do, one of those is accented. Okay, so let's add that as a layer. So now add the accent on beat 2 of the second bar. 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, ready, play. 2, ready, play. Okay, now everybody just go left, right. Okay, left, right. 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 Okay, now let's go back to playing what we just were doing with only right, left, and then rights. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Now, what I want you all to do is add in the accents that happen just before the right accents. So you'll add in the left accent the left accents in the second measure. So we'll play it a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay, now what I want us to do is only play that first bar there, but actually play the correct accents with it. So we'll go right, left, right, right, left, right. And when you end on the next bar, make sure it's a soft right hand. So on all the other ones, when we do the left hand accent, the right hand then accents, except for this one time. So after this left accent, end with a soft tap. Only one bar. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready, go. 2, 1, 2, ready, play. 3, 1, 2, ready, play. 3, 1, 2, ready, play. 3, 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, so hopefully you see how that left hand is accented, but the next right hand is not. And then for the next two left hand accents, there is a right hand that follows. So let's try to play both of those measures as written now. 1, 2, ready, play. 1, 2, ready, play. 2, 1, 2, ready, play. 2, 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, and I know that it is, you're only seeing eighth notes, and I'm playing kind of a triplet thing. I should have brought this up earlier, that this is swung, so all of the regular eighth notes that you see should be broken up into the first and third triplet partial. Hopefully you all know what swing means in that sense. But yeah, you could break it down without swinging it first and just play it as you see it. So right, kind of square off those rhythms. if that helps you get the motion and the accent pattern and the sticking and everything, do it that way. And then after you figure it out that way, turn it into the da 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 type feel. But if you don't need that, then you don't have to do that. That's just a suggestion of if you're still having issues, then you can think about it as a square and then round it out. So then the next bar, bum, bum, boom, boom, ba bum, ba 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 bum. So let that left hand kind of float into that triplet. Bum, bum, boom, boom, ba bum, ba 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 bum. Okay. So then the next two are the same after that. Now the last two measures of this thing go, I'll just play it. Okay, so all of the notes that have an X on them are the rim. So on the actual drum, you'll just reach straight up and play it on the very top part of the rim. You won't come like near your body or anything. You'll just take where you're playing and go straight up and hit there. So all rim clicks that I ever write are going to be pianissimo. Super soft. They are to be seen but not heard. They're mainly just there for you to feel where a rhythm is. They're not there to be heard. Dun, go, check on, check on, check on. We don't want that. Just dun, go, 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 boom. Okay. So let's just play those last two measures over and over again. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay. And the left hand, I just want you guys rebounding that out. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready, play. 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 All right. So then you would just repeat back to measure 5, and it just goes on a loop until you're cut. So there's not a certain amount of times that you play this that's an automatic cut. It's just, it goes on a loop until you see the cut sign. I'm just going to play through from the very beginning so that you all can kind of hear how it goes. I'll take the repeat once and then I'll stop. Now the tenor. Okay, so hopefully you're really picking up the soft notes I want really soft, and the loud notes I want really loud. The bass part is what makes this, and it was like toward the second half of the season, and the bass line actually started playing this how I wanted it. So if you guys will just take the time to put in and learn it slowly, don't try to play all the way through. Take a count at a time or 2 counts at a time, and then put those together. You will be way more successful than if you just try to read through this every single time. Take time, break it down, and then put it together. Then practice with the audio tracks that are on the Google Drive. And start with the slow tracks. Don't just go to the faster tracks. Even if you're playing it correctly, at least play the slow tempos like 4 times a piece. I mean, you can't go wrong. You're just establishing good habits before you're trying to frantically get through it. You never want to be frantic. You never just want to be like just barely making it through playing it correctly. You want to stay in your comfort zone and break it down to a point where you can achieve it every single time you play it. Not just like, I barely got through it, or well, I could only do it 1 time or 2 times in a row. If you can't play it multiple times in a row, it doesn't count. I'm just trying to save you grief by saying slow it down, spend more time slow and small, and I promise you that you will get it way faster than if you tried to speed through or play it all at one time. Is that correct, Alyssa, or am I speaking a different language? Sweet. Wait, that was an old response. Okay, so you're right. Awesome, thanks. Okay, so next is Roly-Oly. Roly-Oly is another one that was played at West Springfield before I started teaching here. It started off with a solo snare drum part, and then the rest of the snare line joined in. And it was really, I think, only a snare drum thing. Maybe tenors joined in. And so I wanted to kind of fix that. So we, as far as the orchestration, did it how there was a stands beat at the University of Southern Mississippi when I went there. So I kind of just stole the approach to that and did it with West Springfield notes. So this was an instant success. This wasn't one where the seniors were wanting to not change it. They were really excited about it being cooler and actually like planned out as to when people would start playing. So yeah, it's like the snares play for 3 measures, and then the tenors join in on the 4th measure. Then the snares and tenors play for 3 bars together, and then the basses join in on the 4th bar. All 3 of those sections play for 3 measures, and then the cymbals join in on the 4th bar, and then the last stanza is played all together. This is just the prescribed way of playing it. You don't take an automatic repeat. There's no certain amount of times that you play it. It's just you play it from the top down and you're done. So the entrance, for you guys, I'll call it bar 8, because even though it's bar 9, like it's really the 8th bar. I'm not counting the initial tap-off bar. So the 8th bar is bum, bum, ba, bum, bum. Okay, and basically you'll start moving on beat 4, just like we always do with a quarter note prep. Right, left, and all these right lefts are rebound strokes. Right, left, right, down, down. Okay, bum, bum, ba, bum, bum. So that way you're floating everything that needs to be floated. And then for the next 7 bars, I want the bass line to play the bass part to Let's Go Band. So all right hands, 1, 2, 1, and 1, 2, 1, and 1, 2, 1, and bum, bum, ba, bum, bum. 1, 2, 1, and 1, 2, 1, and 1, 2, 1, and da, 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 da. Okay, so basically you're playing only the accents that are on the page, and they're all with the right hand. So you'll have bum, bum, ba, bum, bum. Right, 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 bum, bum, ba, bum, bum. Right, 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 triple up, triple up. So Alyssa, I know that's a change. I don't know if that makes you happy or not. If not, then I'm sorry. And if so, great. If we get to band camp and everybody's playing this really well, then we might look at playing the actual prescribed sticking. But we just spent way too much time trying to get everybody playing it correctly, and just don't feel like the juice is worth the squeeze on the written part. But like I said, if we show up and everybody's doing great and feeling great, then I might challenge the line and say, okay, you're going to play the written part. So there we go. Are there any questions about Roll-Eoli? I'm going to move on. If there are any questions, I'll come back and answer them. Spa is up next, Spartans. This was not played at West Springfield when I got here, but we did play this at the University of Southern Mississippi. Throughout the years at USM, the tenors especially started messing with this and adding little figures and little joke stuff into it. And the parts that y'all play at West Springfield are those parts with the jokes. So anyway, just a little history lore there. So the right hand in this for the bass drums just goes loud, soft click, loud, soft click, loud, soft click. So you might just want to practice that by itself. Boom, 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 digga, 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 boom, 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 boom. So those three notes together are in, the second one isn't a rim click. That is the exception. So you got this boom, click, and then boom, boom, boom. All right, and then you've just got the left hand part that you add in. So okay, so this one is one of the more difficult snare and tenor parts, but not so much so for the bass part. So the important thing is that everything is loud except for the rim clicks. And the motion of the right hand should just be this continuous motion where you're playing that downstroke into the head, coming up, playing a low upstroke, coming back out to play the right. So like I said, you'll want to work that motion out first. Boom, 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 and then add the left hands in. Are there any questions about Spa? One thing that you should note is we're about to break down Go! Exclamation point, but the answer to the quiz question, the next quiz question is Spa is played automatically 3 times, an automatic cut, unless you're cut in the middle of a rep being a repetition. So if you start playing this and the first time through you see a cut signal from me, then you just cut. But if you're playing this and no one cuts, then after the 3rd time you automatically stop after that release on beat 1. On Go, it's the same rules. You play, except for it's 4 times through, automatic cut, unless otherwise cut prior to. So that's the answer to the quiz is you play Spa 3 times unless cut, and you play Go 4 times unless cut. And the way that you can remember that is Spa is longer, so you play it fewer times, and Go is shorter, so you play it more times. Okay, so Spa you play 3 times unless cut, Go you play 4 times unless cut. For some reason, that has been really hard to make happen And I'd love if this year everybody could just show up with an understanding that that's how it works. And I understand for the new members, you might get caught without a chair on that one a few times, but try to pick that up as quickly as you can. Would really love to not go into the season having that issue. So looking at go. The taps in this are mezzo forte. So, you know how I'm typically saying keep the low notes really low. In this one, not so much, but they do have to be distinct from the accents. So the accent being at the beginning of each measure, and then in the last measure, they're all loud. So, bum, 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 bum. Okay, so typically what we spend the most time rehearsing with the bass drums on this one is that crescendo. For some reason, people typically just don't want to crescendo those notes, so they'll play it bum 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 bum. But the crescendo is such that that last left hand of the crescendo should almost feel like an accent. Bum 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 bum. Right, so it's a very aggressive crescendo. And then the quarter notes are all rebounded on the right hand in that last bar. So, something that you all should be aware of is on the last time of that being played, the snares and tenors will have upbeat rim shots. So on those quarter notes, you'll hear boom, chap, boom, chap, boom, chap, boom, chap, boom. When it's not the last time, they have downbeat rim shots. So they're playing rim shots with you. Jump, 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 jump. So if you all don't see me give a last time signal on this one, but the snares and tenors do, or at least half of them, then you will hear upbeat rim shots. So that way, that's an audible cue to you that even if you didn't see somebody cut, if you hear upbeat rim shots on that last measure, then you know to not continue playing. So you would play it as written for 3 times, and then the 4th time, unless cut, you would hear upbeat rim shots. If it's cut in the middle somewhere, the snares and the tenors know that on the time that I give the cut, they're going to go into the upbeat rim shots. So that should help everybody know to stop at the same time. Are there any questions about go? If there are not, then we will move on. Let's go to Let's Go Spartans. Okay. So Let's Go Spartans, there is not a prescribed amount of times to play this. It just goes on a loop until someone gives the last time figure. In which case, you will hear the snares and tenors play a triplet roll, and then you'll know to play a release. So listen to the audio files of this, and that it should make a little more sense as to what I'm talking about. But basically, the way that this one starts is someone yells, "Let's go Spartans, right, left, right, left, right. Let's go Spartans, right, left, right, left, right. Let's go Spartans, bum, 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 bum." And then it goes on a loop doing that, and then I'll give a cut. Let's go Spartans, bum, 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 bum. Okay. So on the audio recordings, I think that it does it 4 times in a row and it cuts. But in real life, that would just continue to loop, and on the last time, you would play that figure and then take the double bar out. So all of that one is loud. It's all unison. It's all very easy. all of it is at fortissimo. So it might say forte on your part. If that is so, then you can add another F and just play it all out. The way, backing up a little bit into go, the way that go starts is you'll hear a tenor drummer play digga 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 boom, and that's your entrance. So it's a 4-count intro. Digga 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 boom, and you start playing, everybody all at the same time. So anytime you hear digga 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 digga, I want to hear a very strong bass drum note from the bass drums. The way that SPA starts is the tenor drummer goes brat boom brat boom brat yeah boom. So the whole drum line kind of yells from soft all the way to loud yeah. So brat yeah boom cha boom boom, and that's where you start playing. So brat boom brat boom brat boom brat yeah boom, right? Brat boom brat boom yeah boom da boom boom da boom 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 da boom boom. Cool. So that's how that goes. Any questions about any of that? If not, we'll go on to Samba Calls. And I think that the audio files will probably answer more questions than anything on the Samba Calls. They're this is like Brazilian type drumming, and the main leader of the group in this case in Brazil would be on a drum called a repenique, and he would just play these like calls. It's a call and response. It's called, why we call it Samba Calls. So he's calling something and you all are responding with a similar rhythm to what he played. So you'll hear so in the Google Drive there are scores to all these. So if you're just looking at the bass drum part, you might want to go into the Google Drive and just click on the full battery part. Maybe not print it out necessarily, but just so that you can visually see what other people are doing. So if you're ever confused about how the parts work together, or what the count off is or something like that, go into the Google Drive and open the full battery score so that you can kind of take your cues from that, okay? And you can see how the rhythms look and everything on page. So the biggest thing is when you start playing here on the Samba Calls, let the right hand breathe and rebound, similar to what we talked about with on 3 Cheers, where you've got, right? It's the same kind of figure here where the right hand is going to continue pumping and the left hand has some rebound down, rebound down. Okay, so digga 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 dum, digga 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 dum, digga 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 dum. Digga 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 dum, digga 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 dum, digga 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 dum. Okay, so now we're at B. B, the call of the tenor drummer is a similar rhythm to what you will play, but it is a little bit fancier. The line has been really good about playing what is written here, and I would love for that to continue. So please do not add in the extra notes that you will hear from the tenor drummer. You will just play the notes that are written. So get-en-kem dum, get-en-kem dum, get-en-kem get-en-kem bum, bum bum bum, bum bum bum, bum 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 bum, get-en-kem dum, get-en-kem dum, get-en-kem get-en-kem bum. Bum, 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 bum. So the important thing to remember in all of that is that the right hand should not be downstroked. So just like we talked about earlier in Samba Calls, pumping that right hand, it also happens here, but it's just playing quarter notes. So bum bum bum, bum bum bum, bum 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 bum. So in that figure, in the first bar there, your left hand is downstroked, bum, 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 bum. And then in the second measure, the left hand rebounds, bum, 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 bum. Okay, so both of those together, down, down, up, down, down. Okay, so you'll want to take a couple minutes to kind of work that motion out. But it's all loud. It's just whether you let the hand afterwards bounce back up or hold it down. Okay, so now going to C. That's pretty self-explanatory. Just start moving the hand a quarter note before you play. So lift, boom, boom. Lift, boom, boom. Okay. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay. So all that rebounds and is alternating there at the end. So that's Samba Calls. Again, if you have questions about how it all works, go into the audio files and listen to it, and I think that will probably answer like 95% of the questions. Are there any questions right off the bat? If not, we're almost done. Let's go to Let's Go Band. We've already kind of touched on this because the parts that you're playing on this are the same as what I asked you to do in Roll-Oly, where you're only playing the accents of the written part in Roll-Oly. That same rhythm exists in Let's Go Band. So it's just right, 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 boom, 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 boom. Okay, so everything is on the right in Let's Go Band. So that'll be another quiz question for Let's Go Band is, are there any right hands in Let's Go Band? And the answer is yes. All of the notes are right hand in Let's Go Band. Okay. So hopefully that answers that. This one, I don't remember how many times it repeats, but we'll figure that out once, because we actually do play this with the brass section. Maybe even woodwinds. I don't know. The band's playing, so we'll figure that out with them. Next is Lowrider, and we will finish with that. So and this one will be easy as well. So it's funny, all the ones that require more time for the snares and tenors require like less time for the basses, and then the reverse of that. So that's why we're doing separate videos for all this stuff. So Lowrider. I do not want you to play in the fourth measure of Lowrider. So let's just let that be a snare and tenor thing. So Alyssa, that's a change. So right, so you guys will just start on B. Do not play the measure before B. That's a quiz question. Do you play the measure before B in Lowrider? The answer is no. Okay. So this is another one where I've tried to get the bass line to play the written parts and it hasn't worked yet. So I'm just going to concede defeat. Hopefully that's correct usage of the term. I'm just going to be defeated on this one. and you will just repeat the first measure of B over and over again. So so y'all just keep doing that. This is another one where, should we get through Bandcamp or we'll get to a good point where we're comfortable and all that, then I might challenge the bass line, just like in Rolly-Oly, to play the written part. But for now, all we're going to do is put the first measure of B on a loop until the whole thing is cut. So that's pretty much as far as we got with everybody. So almost an hour, a little bit over for you all, but that's fine because most of you are not returning. So some of the stuff took a little bit longer to explain because you haven't heard it before. Alyssa, thank you for being here, for catching the changes. I know you already know most of this stuff. But hopefully you got a little bit out of it, at least maybe for specifically how I want you guys to move in certain parts and all that. So hopefully you were taking notes, because I'm really going to depend on you to play this stuff correctly, and for me to have the newer folks like really watching you for how to move and how to approach it. So whatever you wrote down, please put some time in, even though it's only stands, beats, and it's super like easy stuff, especially since I've simplified some of the harder parts. Really make sure that you're approaching that stuff so I can have them latch on. So that's it. I won't waste your time with any more. There are other people in this chat and they're not saying anything, so I can only imagine it's just I don't know how to watch this on my phone and comment or whatever. So if you were here watching the video, I don't know who you are, so I do need you to answer the questions to me in a private message on Slack. So on that note, just to give everybody a heads up on what I'm tracking, is that Alyssa, I'm still waiting for you to send me the answers to the third bass drum rehearsal video. Himmlinger, I'm waiting on you to give me the answers to all 3 bass drum videos. So you've got a lot of catching up to do. 1, 2, and 3 bass vids. Lauren, I'm still waiting on you to confirm that you've watched the third battery video, as well as the 3 bass drum videos, not to include this one. So you're like 4 videos behind. That's not a good thing. Daniel, you're caught up. So all I need is your answers to these quiz questions. Paris, if you're watching this, go back and just watch as many of the vids as you can. I know you're playing catch up, so I'm definitely going to be patient with you. I don't have another one of these videos scheduled for a while, so you guys have like a couple weeks to play catch up, I think. Josue, for some reason I'm tracking that you watched the second bass video, but I never got your answers. So I just need you to give me the answers to all 3 bass videos in addition to this one. So you actually 4 videos total. So Alyssa, need bass 3 and this one. Himmlinger, I need all 3 bass videos and this one. Lauren, I need confirmation that you watched the third battery, all 3 bass videos, and this video. Daniel, just need the answer to this video. Paris, whatever. Josue, answers to all 3 bass videos and this video. Okay, so thank you all for tuning in, and hopefully doing this will save us a lot of time and effort when we're all together. Please don't be the person that shows up to Bandcamp without knowing this stuff. All right, cheers.